afternoon. Welcome to Tea Time with Miss Carol. I'm so glad you've joined me. I have a very exciting story to share with you today. It's called Mia the Mouse, Used by God, written by Everett O. Martindale and myself. First, I think I have a little friend that wants to pop up and say hello. Hello, my name is Mia, and I'm a little field mouse. And also, I'm a matchmaker. Do you know what that means? A matchmaker is someone who helps people fall in love. I just love to watch people fall in love. I hope you enjoy this story. It's about me, Mia the Mouse. Thank you, Mia. This is our story today. Sunday school teachers will enjoy utilizing this animal parable that goes hand in hand with Bible characters we all know and love. One never knows the important role of even the smallest of God's creatures. Mia's story is weaved around the Bible's book of Ruth. Mia is a sweet mother mouse, and much like Ruth, completely loyal to family. Mia lives a small life that most others don't even notice, except for one kind-hearted man who rescues her from certain death. In return, Mia the mouse plays matchmaker when she sees the perfect girl for him, Ruth. Find out what Mia has to do to bring about one of the most treasured love stories in the Bible. I guess we'll get started. Here we go. See? You see the pictures okay? All right. I guess I need to bring you up to date on some of the history found in your Bible. This is my little Bible that I read, my small one. And in the story, we have a woman named Naomi. She and her husband and her two grown sons are living in Israel. And Israel is going through a famine, which means the people don't have enough food. So Naomi and her husband and her two grown sons travel to another country. There, the two sons marry two women from that country. But a sad thing happens as time goes by, and Naomi's husband dies, and also her two sons. The two daughter-in-laws are with the mother-in-law now, and the mother-in-law decides to travel back to her homeland in Israel. Naomi says goodbye to her daughter-in-laws. One stays with her family, and the other, Ruth, decides that she will not leave Naomi's side. She is loyal and faithful, and she's going to take good care of her mother-in-law, no matter what. So she will travel to a new country, new customs, and she'll learn their ways and their language, and she'll learn to love their God. So we're going to get on with the story. Oh, also I wanted to say that the story is also in Spanish, written by Cindy Reyes, my sister-in-law, and also it's an audio book, so you can hear the music and the story even in your car. Now I'm going to be putting it on YouTube so you can hear the story and see anytime you like. Look under dabohana. That's me, Carol Dabney. All right, so on with the story. Here's our first page. Mr. Rod Ragsdale will be narrating just like he does on the audiobook.
Mia the Mouse, Used by God, written by Carol Dabney. Mia was a tiny field mouse who quietly took care of her children inside the root of a huge and beautiful papyrus tree at the edge of the river, and not far away was a large field of golden wheat. Often Mia would gather grains of wheat to feed her little family. She would follow along the humans when they were harvesting the wheat, picking up what kernels they had dropped and left behind. Although none of the humans noticed her very much, she noticed all of them and everything they did. She listened to their stories, and she knew everyone by name. First there was Ella. Oh, Ella was a sweet woman who took buckets of cold water to the others to drink. You could hear her singing from far off. Mia and her children loved to hear her songs and would often sing them before bedtime. Then there was Gus. Oh, Gus was a strong man with big muscles, yet a gentle voice. Everyone loved to listen to him tell his funny stories, and Mia did too. She would often repeat them to her children at night. But then there was Boaz. Of all the people around her, Boaz was her favorite. He was the boss, and he was kind to all. Everyone liked him. They would run to greet him when he rode up on his horse into the fields each week. He was the reason Mia stayed close to the fields of grain. Though no one noticed her because she was so small, Boaz not only noticed her, but he saved her life and befriended her one day. It happened one sunny afternoon when she was in the tall wheat gathering food for her babies. Suddenly a kitten came out of nowhere and pounced upon her. Oh, Mia's heart was racing with fear. She squealed for help, but being so small, no one heard her. Yet Boaz had seen it all, and he rushed to her rescue. Boaz carefully took Mia out of the kitten's mouth before any damage had been done. Had the kitten been a full-grown cat, Mia's life surely would have been over, and without a mother, the babies would have starved. Boaz gently spoke to the kitten. "Now there, little kitten, this tiny mouse surely has a family of her own." With that, he placed Mia on the ground near the large papyrus tree and let her go. She ran to the house and to her children for safety. When Boaz saw Mia's children gathered round her, he smiled and said, "Oh, sweet mother mouse, I wish I had a family to take care of like you." Mia had felt quite a fondness for Boaz, and after that, Mia and Boaz built a tender friendship. Every time he came to visit, she would climb up on his boot, and he always remembered to bring her a treat to eat. Boaz liked to talk to her, and since she was blessed with big ears, she could listen. She learned that he was very successful and had many friends, yet he was lonely and sad inside. Every day after that was pretty much the same and fairly uneventful for the most part. Mia would gather the kernels of wheat that the workers had dropped and left behind, and she used this to bake her cakes for her little family. They sang Ella's song and danced a bit before she rocked them all to sleep. Mia and her children always remembered to mention Boaz in their prayers at night. Days went on, and so much the same that it didn't take too much to notice when a strange new face had come to work in the fields early one morning. Mia could tell that she was from a different country by the way she spoke. She had a face of one that had struggled with life, a sadness. Even tears filled her eyes as she quietly did her work in the fields. Mia heard Ella talking to Gus one day about the stranger. Her name was Ruth. Ruth had come very far with her mother-in-law, Naomi. They both had lost their husbands, and the two women were all alone and very sad. Ruth was very brave to come to a new country, away from her home, her culture, and her customs. Naomi told the women of the village about how Ruth had insisted on taking care of her. The day she started her travels, Ruth had pledged to be with her, to live with her, to take care of her. Wherever she was going, she would learn the new language, and she would serve the God of Israel. Ella had even made a song from beautiful words she had heard from Ruth. Before long, all the mice were singing the lullaby. Where you go, I will go.
I will go
Where you live,
where you live.
I will live. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you go,
Where you go,
I will go. 'Cause what I give is all I have. decided that day Ruth and Boaz were meant for each other. One day she saw Boaz riding up on his horse. Mia needed Ruth to notice Boaz. Mia followed Ruth around. She was trying to get her attention, but because of her size, no one noticed. Finally, Mia decided she would get right in the front of Ruth's face to greet her. But Mia did not know that Ruth would be completely terrified to see a mouse. And Ruth fainted and fell to the ground. Oh dear, what have I done?" Mia said as she ran around in circles. She ran to get water, but since her hands were so small, it didn't help. However, Boaz had seen Ruth faint, and he rushed to her side. He carried Ruth to the river under the large papyrus tree where Mia lived. Boaz gave Ruth some water to drink and shared his bread with her while they talked. And Ruth asked him, "Why are you being so kind to me? Why do you notice me? I am a stranger to you." Boaz smiled and replied, "Naomi is my cousin." And then he asked her, "What brought you here to Israel?" She explained that she could not bear to watch Naomi travel such a long way all by herself. Boaz said, "May God protect you and bless you. Don't work in any other fields. I promise you will be safe here." She thanked him and went back to her work. Boaz then whispered to Mia, "Ruth is such a beautiful young woman. She's left her home and everything she's ever known to take care of someone else. She has a good heart." And Mia agreed. Before he left, he gave instructions to Gus. "Take special care and watch over Ruth. Have the others leave extra grains of wheat wherever she is gathering." Oh, Mia was pleased to see Boaz return often, and was especially glad to see Ruth and Boaz share meals together by the river. She was happy that Boaz was a man that had noticed small things such as her tiny self, and she was especially happy that he had noticed Ruth. Mia and her children overheard the couple talking when they ate together by the tree. She heard them laughing together, and she thought she saw a spark in Ruth's eyes that she had never seen before. Boaz also looked happier than she had ever seen him, and Mia was right. Soon Boaz and Ruth were married. A year later, they had a son named Obed. This made Naomi feel so very blessed and happy to be a grandmother. It healed her broken heart. And now Ruth and Naomi were very happy. The women of the village said to Naomi, "This is a blessed child. Something great will come from him." Ruth and Boaz became famous bedtime stories among all the mice. But it wasn't just a story spoken by mice, for it just so happened that the women of the village would say that it was one of the greatest love stories of all time. In fact, several generations later, the grandson of Ruth and Boaz would become the king of Israel. His name was King David. And generations later, there would come another child born in Bethlehem, and that would be the King of all kings. And not just the women of the village, but all the angels. They called him Jesus.
Have you ever felt so small that no one seemed to notice you? The Bible says, "Do not grow weary in well-doing." That means just keep on doing what's right and good. Your actions will affect others around you. God notices everything about you. You are important to him. Ask Jesus into your heart, and your story, like Ruth, will bless many generations to come. I hope you enjoyed the story of Mia the Mouse. It was narrated by Rod Ragsdale. Be sure and take time to read the biblical account in your own Bible, found in the book of Ruth. The original song was composed and sung by Rod Ragsdale and Carol Dabney at Blue Chair Recording Studio in Austin, Arkansas. Mia is a part of the Animals Used by God series created by authors Everett O. Martindale and Carol Dabney. To find all our storybooks and music, please go online to Amazon or write Carol Dabney in your search. Your support makes our stories possible, so we thank you very much, and God bless.
I hope you enjoyed today's story. Until next time,
Where you go,
happy tea
I
time.
will go
I will go.
where you live.
Where you live,
I will live. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you go,
where you go,
I will go. 'Cause what I give is all I have. And all I have is what I give.